What's going on there, YouTube, and welcome back to another comic book video. Okay, so we are going to continue our coverage over X-Men comics as we work our way up to Days of Future Present, the next crossover that we are going to talk about when it comes to X-Men comics. But before we can do that, we got to jump back over to Uncanny X-Men, and we pick up with Uncanny X-Men number 254 and 255. This is a two-part story arc where we do get introduced to a new X-Men team, but at the same time, we say goodbye to a certain character who is very close to Mystique. And you'll see what I mean here as we go through today's video. And so getting into the opening pages for today's book, we actually pick up with Polaris. Now, when it comes to Polaris, this is a way to remind us that she's now a good guy now by this point in Marvel Comics. Let me explain. So after the Mutant Massacre all the way up to X-Men Inferno, she was possessed by an evil mutant known as Malice who was working for Mr. Sinister. Now, when it came to Polaris, she was able to get rid of Malice, but unfortunately, she was then kidnapped by another character known as Zaladane. Now, when it came to Zaladane, she was able to take away the powers of Polaris. So Polaris no longer has the ability to control metal, but she was also able to gain new abilities like super strength or grow in size, and also play with people's emotions to make them feel a certain kind of way, and usually make them go crazy or feel very sad. Either way, Polaris now has a new power set. Now, a couple videos ago, when it came to Polaris gaining those abilities, she also learned the possibility that Zaladane could be her sister. But the problem is we have no idea how. Now, when it comes to Muir Island, she tells Polaris that, you know what, it's most likely true, because the only way Zaladane was able to pull that off because you guys are actually sisters. But again, Marvel never truly did confirm this though. But now we have to jump over to Banshee, and we have Banshee being confronted by two other characters, Allison Stewart and also Amanda Selfton. Now, when it comes to Allison Stewart, she's part of the WHO organization, the Weird Happening organization. They go around the world to investigate weird things happening across the world. Now, when it comes to Amanda, she is a sorceress, but also she's the ex-girlfriend to Nightcrawler. Now, why you had the three characters talking to one another? Well, out of nowhere, somebody snipes Banshee right through the chest, and we kind of find out it is a couple of members of Reavers. Now remember, Reavers are humans who went through a process to turn themselves into cyborgs, and they're being led by a character known as Donald Pierce. Now, when it comes to Donald Pierce, he has a huge hatred towards mutants, but in our last video, he was able to capture Wolverine. Now, Logan was able to break free thanks to Jubilee, but when it came to Donald, he believed that Logan and Jubilee would come here to Muir Island, and so he sent his Reavers over there to go ahead to kill Muir Island and anybody else who works there with her, including Banshee. Now, luckily for Banshee, Amanda, and also Allison, they were able to teleport back over to the lab of Muir Island to get Banshee to an actual healer. Now, when it comes to Muir Island, she's freaking out, but honestly, she has a good reason to freak out because her man just got sniped a moment ago. And so you have Muir saying, hey guys, listen, I need y'all to go ahead and change into regular X-Men uniforms. The reason why? They'll protect you as you go into battle against the Reavers. Now, when it comes to Muir Island, she tells everybody to get out there to battle against the Reavers, including two characters who I want to talk about just real briefly here. And that will be Tom Corsi and Sharon Friedlander. Now, those two characters, they used to be Caucasian, but thanks to the Demon Bear story arc, they were changed into Native Americans. But they also gain super strength as well. Now you have all those characters go outside to battle against the Reavers. But now we are going to jump over to Callisto. Now, when it comes to Callisto, she became a bodyguard for Moira Taggart by this point in Marvel Comics. You see, when it came to the Mutant Massacre, we had most of the Morlocks, well, get massacred. She decided to stick around with Moira Taggart. Now, she was sent back over to the school of Charles Xavier. Now remember, the school was blown up back in X-Men Inferno by Mr. Sinister, but the reason why she was sent there was to lock down the basement that contains the Danger Room and a lot of advanced technology. If that tech falls in the wrong hands, it could bring some trouble for our characters down the road. Now, apparently she was able to lock down the basement, but then she was kidnapped by a group of Morlocks who stuck around in the tunnels after the Mutant Massacre, and they're being led by a character known as Mask. Now, when it comes to Mask, they have the ability to, well, change your appearance, to change your face. And so when it comes to Mask, all they want is the codes to the basement. But Callisto says no, there's no way. And so you have Mask begin to play with her face until she actually gives them what they want. Now, when it came to the Mutant Massacre, you did have some of the Morlocks being able to leave their old place and go live with Moira Taggart, her lab on Muir Island. And one of those characters is Sunder. Now, when it comes to Sunder, he's just your usual big brute kind of character. When you have the Reavers begin to barge into the lab and try to kill almost anybody in their sight, you have Sunder try his best to protect the kids who are also in the room. Now, Legion is also there as well, but here's the problem with Legion. Each personality has a different kind of power, and sometimes those personalities can be evil. And so even though he's right now trying his best to protect himself against the Reavers, he's also enjoying the idea of what he is going to do to them down the road. We have no idea which personality has taken over here at the moment. Luckily for Sunder and also Legion, they were saved by a few members of Moira Taggart's X-Men team, and they were able to take down a few members of the Reavers. Now, when it comes to Legion, he's not really defenseless. He can fight back. As a matter of fact, he does jump into the battle. But like I said earlier though, we have no idea which personality is in control at the moment, but on top of that, this personality is very sick, very evil. It loves the idea that it's causing pain right now to other people. But now we have to jump over to Destiny. Now, when it comes to Destiny, she has the ability to look into the future. Now, when it comes to Destiny, even though she can do that, it does not mean that what she sees is most likely going to happen. They're just possible futures. Now, when it comes to Destiny, she does see some things that are for sure going to happen. Like, for example, she now realized that her time is coming very soon. What I mean is, Destiny is going to die in this story arc. And she saw her death coming, but she kind of realized that there's no point in trying to get out of it. It's most likely better for her to go ahead and accept death. Now, that is when she is confronted by Mystique. Now remember, Mystique and Destiny, they're very close to one another in a romantic kind of way. But when it comes to Destiny, she does inform Mystique that Val Cooper is about to call to give their team another mission. And that mission is going to be Destiny's last one. You see, we kind of find out that Forge had made a deal with Val Cooper. Now, something else we have to remember here. When it came to Forge, he used to make weapons for the American government, but he stopped doing it. And so now he came to Val saying, I need your team, Freedom Force, to help me to help out Moira Taggart and her Muir Island team, because currently they're being attacked by the Reavers and I can't go over there on my own. Now remember, when it comes to Freedom Force, it was Mystique's Brotherhood of Evil Mutants who had recently joined the American government to be forgiven for the crimes that they had committed. And so you have the American government give them different kinds of missions to go after different mutants who have broken the law in different kinds of ways. Now, when it comes to Val, she tells Mystique, you are going to go on this mission because this man just told us that he will give us weapons again, which we need really bad. So yes, you are gonna go. But Destiny knows that this is going to be her last mission here. Now we jump back over to Banshee. Now when it comes to Banshee, he is able to rejoin the battle against the Reavers. Now the only reason why he was able to rejoin is because he was healed up by Healer. Healer has the ability to, well, heal people. And so he was able to rejoin the battle to help Polaris just in time before she was taken down by the Reavers. Now when it comes to Banshee and Polaris, they do try their best to escape, but out of nowhere, some kind of invisible force stops them right in their tracks, knocking them out, allowing the Reavers to be able to capture both Polaris and Banshee. But the thing is, it was not the Reavers who had stopped them. And the question is now, who in the world has stopped our heroes from being able to escape from the Reavers? But now we have to jump back over to the Storm plot line. Now remember, when it comes to Storm, she was turned into a child recently after being presumed dead in an earlier story arc. But we have no idea how in the world was she turned into a child, but most likely the Shadow King is involved. And the only reason why I'm saying that because in our last video, you have Forge be confronted by the Shadow King in the Shadow King's realm, but he also saw Storm as a prisoner who was turning into a child. Now, here's the thing. When it comes to the Shadow King, he is a multiverse being, meaning that he has a host in every single universe across the multiverse that allows him to do different things across different universes in the multiverse. And so in this reality, he has multiple hosts, and one of them right now is Jacob Reese. Now, when it comes to Jacob, he was an FBI agent who found Storm as a child, but he believed that she was injured and then hand her over to Dr. Shin to give her medical help. Now, because they couldn't find anything wrong with her, you then had Dr. Shin call Jacob, who again is an FBI, to come get her because they believe that she is a mutant and they have no idea what to do with a mutant. But when Jacob arrives, which again, he's under the Shadow King control, when he arrives at the hospital, Storm is no longer there, and they have no idea where she went to. Now, getting back over to Muir Island, it does look like the X-Men team that Moira McTaggart had put together only in the last chapter has been completely defeated until you have Freedom Force arrive. Now, when it comes to Freedom Force, when they arrive, they fly by at first and they let the blob just jump out of the plane. And you have the Reavers look up in the sky to see blob just coming down really fast right on top of them. Now, there are other Reavers out there, but those three Reavers are most likely seriously injured. Now, when it comes to the rest of the team, they're on the plane trying to find a way to land, but you didn't have Lady Deathstrike go out of her way to take out the pilots to make the plane crash on Muir Island. But now we have to jump over to an island that belongs to the Hand, an evil ninja organization that basically worships a demon known as the Beast. Now, when it comes to the Hand, they have many bases around the world, and one of those bases is an island. But apparently they found an X-Men, and that X-Men is Psylocke. Now remember, when it came to the X-Men before this video right here, we had learned that 4 characters walked through the Siege Perilous. Now remember, the Siege Perilous gives you the ability to start a new life somewhere else in the world. Now sometimes you may forget about your past life, but sometimes you may remember your past life. But apparently when it came to Psylocke, when she walked through that portal, she arrived on an island that belongs to the Hand. But here's the thing. The Hand called in another assassin, and his name is Masuo, and I really hope I pronounce his first name correctly. Now, when it comes to Masuo, he tells the rest of the members of the Hand that he has some big plans for her. But getting back to the battle on Muir Island, we kind of find out that our heroes are okay after their plane had crashed. Now, when it comes to Mystique, she does tell Forge that he will not take part in the battle at all. His assignment is to get the weapon that he has been working on the entire flight ready to use against the Reavers, but to also protect Destiny. And so you have Forge being forced to go away and protect Destiny, even though we know that most likely she is about to die. And honestly, it happens very quickly because once you have Forge and Destiny being able to walk over to a certain location that's far away enough from the battle, you didn't have Destiny tell Forge, no, I need you to go ahead and disobey Mystique's orders. Go ahead and rejoin the battle. They're going to need you. Now, when it comes to Destiny, she knew that she was going to die at this exact moment. But she also wanted to make sure that Forge does not also die at this exact moment. Now, as soon as Forge walks away, that is when you have Legion appear. Now, when it comes to Legion, let's not forget that currently he's in one of his evil personalities at the moment. But either way, he kills off Destiny just like that. Now, getting back over to the battle between Freedom Force and also the Reavers, you have Mystique try to pretend to be Lady Deathstrike to get close enough to a few members of the Reavers. But here's the problem. In the middle of that sequence right there, she comes to find out what happened to the woman she loved. She comes to find out that Destiny died, thanks to a telepathic image being played in her mind. Now, the battle, unfortunately, has to continue on. Now, when it comes to Freedom Force, they also lose another team member known as Stonewall, which honestly, Stonewall was not really a big time character enough to care for, but he is now also dead. Now, Donald Pierce was the one who killed him, but apparently you didn't have Freedom Force wondering if they are able to pull off this battle until you have Forge appear. And apparently Forge has a weapon that he can use to easily take out the Reavers. And so the Reavers have no choice but to go ahead and retreat at this moment. Now, when it comes to Mystique, she's very upset at Forge because Forge allowed Destiny to die in her mind, not knowing that if Forge had stayed there, most likely Forge would have also died as well. But neither characters know who had killed off Destiny. Now, you have Forge tell Mystique like, hey, she told me to go away, but Mystique does not care because she told Forge to stay with Destiny, and now Destiny is dead. But after the battle, you didn't have Forge be confronted by Banshee. Now, when it comes to Banshee, he does inform Forge that he got word from Polaris that the X-Men are alive. Because remember, when it comes to the X-Men around this point in time in Marvel Comics, the world believed that they were dead. Because back in Fall of the Mutants, you have the X-Men give up their lives to stop the adversary. But when they did that, they did it on live television. And so the entire world believed that the X-Men had died, not knowing that soon after, the X-Men were brought back to life by Lady Roma, and the X-Men then hid in the shadows to go after their different enemies, because again, the world believed that they were dead. But now Banshee and the others are beginning to find out that the X-Men are not dead, that the X-Men are out there, and now somebody has to go find them. That's Forge and Banshee's job for the next few issues, to find the X-Men, to bring them back together. Now, to go ahead and wrap up today's video, we pick up with Storm, and Storm is still on the run. She knows the Shadow King is trying to get her, and the Shadow King is still possessing the body of Jacob. Now, Dr. Shin is also there as well, and another doctor who works alongside with her. Now, the other doctor unfortunately gets killed off by Jacob, and Dr. Shin saw Jacob kill him off, and now she's wondering what kind of mess did she get involved in. But either way, Jacob, who again is currently possessed by the Shadow King, is so devoted to find Storm, and once he does, Storm will always be his. But this is where we are going to end today's comic book video. So please leave me a like down below and subscribe. But guys, see y'all next time. Later.